And the intent is, so I was talking to a member today and he was like, hey, do you guys record them? I said, well, I usually record them, but I don't do anything with them. And I was like, but I could post them on our website afterwards. And that way, if, you know, like it's not a good time because you're putting your kids down, at least you can see what was covered in the meeting and listen to it. And it also gives a good record for us as well. So I'm probably going to post this one on there, and I'll probably start posting the minutes after they're signed as well. Just so we can be as transparent as possible. So I'm going to kind of move fast and furious. We don't have to vote on anything, but there's a lot to cover. And then, you know, we can do questions and answers at the end for sure, or talk about anything you guys want to talk. So first thing is monthly, we have a National Armed Forces Initiative meeting that the club presidents and the state coordinators attend. I'm the state coordinator right now, and Tom attended the last one. It was pretty brief. Primarily what we talked about was Camp Pendleton just successfully got a grant to replace some guzzlers that were damaged by the fires the last couple of years. And the wildlife out there really relies on those guzzlers as a water source. So they put in a grant to Sitka and got the money, and now they're gonna be able to basically, Sitka's buying the stuff, so there's no money transferring hands. They give it to the wildlife branch, and the BHA guys are gonna go help put it in. So we have a laundry list of projects that we've been given by the wildlife branch. Most of it's labor stuff. Some of it's just, can you drive a tractor for us? Can you do this? Dwayne's got to kind of get on that portion for us, pick some stuff so that we can solicit some help. We also have the opportunity, Sitka's given out $50,000 a year in conservation grants. It's been untapped. So we have talked to Wildlife Branch before. They recently got control of about 200 acres on the south end of St. Mare, and now they own Nijmegen. And there's a quail population, I want to say on both, or maybe it's just, I can't remember which. They've got two cousins. Yeah. So talking with them about possibly doing ways we can do habitat restoration and introduce some more quail. Right now, the Fort Bragg regulation, you cannot bring in outside animals. However, Alan said he writes the regs, he'd change it if we could make it happen. So it's just really about though getting wild birds versus captive birds, because captive birds just don't survive. So because they haven't been taught how to be birds, basically, to be wild birds by their mothers. So what we probably need to do is take that list and publish it on our website, and so everyone can see it, and you know, where guys can help. We probably just need to pick up one major one though as a group and go forth with that. So you look forward to that coming up. So the other big thing that came, it didn't come out of the meeting, but it came out of Morgan Mason, who's the AFI coordinator for our BHA, came down to visit us a couple weeks ago. And we are going to host an AFI rendezvous in March of 2022 here in North Carolina. It will be a family event. I can tell you that at this time. It should have some free archery stuff. It should have some turkey clinic stuff. And it will probably turn into a state rendezvous because Luke Weingarten, who's our state chair, was like, let's just do this together. And I was like, all right, that makes it a lot easier on everybody. So we should start having state rendezvous beginning next March. So that moving on from the AFI into the treasurer stuff. So basically, so everyone understands how it works, the clubs don't, us and Camp Lejeune, none of the AFI clubs touch money, in that we don't have our own bank accounts. Everything filters through the state chapter. While AFI is a national program, we are first and foremost North Carolina members. So we run an event, expenses get paid by the state and by national headquarters. Revenue goes back into the state and national headquarters. AFI being new and much different from the collegiate programs we have, it's forced some growth this year. And I've been probably a pain in everyone's ass up at the state. But the bottom line is, between Camp Lejeune and us, we'll probably raise about $8,000. We'll net about $8,000 this year. So we talked about at the state, Tom and I and our state treasurer and state chair talked about what we want to do with that money. And so right now on the board, we have some things like, we have a lending closet, right? So we spent $250. I've got lock-ons, I've got ladder stands, I probably got 15 sets, 15 sticks. We got decoys, we got turkey and duck decoys. We want to continue to build that lending closet out so that particularly someone that lives in the barracks who has no room for storage or any of this and doesn't need to go out and spend a bunch of money, we're just going to sign this stuff out to them. Have them sign the BHA waiver when we give them a stand so that in case they fall on their head, Tom, or hang upside down, Marty. So lending closet is something we want to continue to spend money on. We want to spend some money on board travel. So for example, this was not board related, it was state related, but I went out to Boone to judge a fly fishing clinic for Due South Outfitters. A fly fishing tournament. Well, Due South turned around and gave us $2,000 to the state that they earned at that tournament. But I paid out of pocket for my Airbnb and that kind of stuff. There's a bunch of veteran events that go on in the state. I just went to Recreation Rendezvous, which was 2 days out in Uwharrie, bunch of different vendors and stuff. Didn't cost us anything, but in some cases, if we want to send someone out to one of these events and there's a vendor fee and we got to put them up in a hotel, we shouldn't ask anybody to pay for that kind of stuff, right? So that stuff, we want to do conservation project funding, public land cleanup fees. We picked up a bunch of trash last year. We're going to pick up more this year, but you can't take it on post, even though it's post trash, to get rid of it anymore. So, Logan shouldn't have to pay the dump fee for that. We should pay the dump fees. And then just stuff like pint nights. We don't necessarily want to buy the first couple rounds, but we do want to do is buy some giveaways so that we can raffle some stuff off and we can give some, fifth guy through the door gets a BHA mug, whatever it is. So just that kind of stuff. Any ideas you have for that, just send them to me at the Bragg AFI email address and we'll bring them up. We'll punch them in the budget, so to speak. So that's Treasury. Moving on, here's the big one. I'm gonna roll through this list. I'm gonna give you the date, the event, and who's the project lead. So the way we run, the way we've kind of figured out how to run events is we've standardized the paperwork. So every event looks the same in terms of paperwork. We assign an event lead and then we just help him out wherever he needs, right? So that can very rapidly, we're tapped out. We will never run more events than we're running now. But if Mikey said, hey, we should really run a fly fishing clinic, we would be like, Mikey, have at it. We will give you all the resources and support to do that. We're just not going to run it as a board. Does that make sense? It'll still be a club event. So we can add stuff, but the board is pretty much tapped out. So May 29th, we have our float and fish on the Deep River. Myself and Holden are running that. June 12th, we have 2 public land packouts, Sandhills Game Lands and Carver Creek State Park. Sandhills actually talked to the guy that's in charge of all the game lands in the southeast, and he gave me grid coordinates where trash piles are. So it makes it pretty easy. So we need leads for both of those. We have the Women in the Woods event, June 12th that I'm running. July 17th, we have our second annual Bragg and Blast, which we need someone to run. And I'll pause here and say, all these events have been coordinated already. Locations have been laid on. They've been approved by Fort Bragg if they're on Fort Bragg. We just need someone to take the lead on them. August 14th, we're gonna do our Whitetail GSO. Dwayne Hawley's gonna run that. September's Public Land Pack Out Month nationally. And that's just really, you know, sorry, brain fart. So Cooper says, hey, I'm going out this weekend to pick up trash. We just help publicize that. He says, meet me at this place, right? And we just go out as groups and do that kind of stuff. But it is competition as well. So there are, First Light gives a bunch of money back for, depending on how much trash we pick up. So December 4th, we have an upland hunting clinic that will be in Lillington at Rusty Gun Kennels. And December 11th, we have a waterfowl hunting clinic. Scott Caldwell will be in charge of both of those. The waterfowl one, we partner with Fort Bragg Ducks Unlimited. So they come out and do, they provide most instructors actually for that. The difference between a clinic and a Get Starting Outdoors, a clinic is open to anybody, regardless of past hunting experience, and the Getting Started Outdoors clinic workshops are only for new hunters. Then we have a bunch of events we added in the last week, but they're all pint nights, so it's easy. So we got pint nights scheduled for June, July, August, September, October, November, and December. And they basically rotate through Hoke County, Harnett County, Cumberland County, and Moore County. And Mikey is laying all those on. So that way we spread the wealth. You know, if you live on one side of Fort Bragg, you can go to that one. You don't feel obligated to come all the way to Aberdeen and drive back. And I don't have to drive all the way over to Fayetteville. Unless someone provides me a designated driver. So if you're interested in leading any of those events, just let us know. If you have ideas, let us know. As I mentioned, we have vacancies in vice president and at large. So we need to fill those two positions because as you see, regular life in the military kind of steps in. Like Tom was saying, you know, Tom was deployed earlier this year and Andy was doing 2 jobs. And so I was filling in, you know, we were picking up each other's slack. So it's important that we have a full board just so we can help each other out. Really the way we run it is the secretary treasurer is the operations guy. Essentially, I take guidance from the board. I do all the planning. I send all the paperwork to Fort Bragg. I send all the paperwork to the state and the national headquarters and take care of all that stuff. So it's what's great is now that we've got a whole year scheduled. Everything's easily repeatable, right? Like the first year was the heavy lifting, or the first 18 months has been the heavy lifting. Now we're locked in. We're going to run the same events year after year after year after year, which leads me to replacing me. So when I took over for Andy as the state AFI coordinator, and I have 2 clubs to help establish, one at Seymour Johnson and one at the Coast Guard station, Elizabeth City. And I'm going to come to, and we're going to start running the veteran skills camps in North Carolina, the ones that they run in Montana now nationally. So I would like to be replaced by December at the latest, I'm hoping, but you know, everything's planned already. So, but I'd really like right now, I feel like both jobs take a lot and I'm not giving enough focus to the state one. So, so anyway, I'll leave that at that. So that's an easy transition to the veteran skills clinics or camps.
Hey,
So
Marty, let me just chime in really quick.
yeah,
And with that, like, let's remember, I think almost everybody here, or we got, or not almost everybody, we got a large group here that it's active duty. So changing out on the board is going to become commonplace. So we need some civilian kind of. That's what's great about the acquisition corps, right? Is we do a real balance of having civilian and military, so that you have continuity with the civilian, and then you've got the military coming around bringing in fresh ideas, right? So I kind of want to keep that going, and Marty's a victim of his own success, and like you guys really can't imagine like how pleased nationals and states are with what we've done. Like we exceeded any and all expectations within like the first 4 months, and now we've just like we've gone into another galaxy. So Marty is like taking that, and he's going to help nationals and or state, and then advise on the national level with all that. But that leaves us. He set us up for success here, and that leaves us open for somebody to kind of take the helm there. But yeah, just keep that in mind. Like I plan on where I go next. Hopefully, there's an AFI there or nearby, and I can try to hop into a seat there and take a role and just kind of keep proliferating that around. So, um, yeah, turnover is going to be common. So give it a shot. Like do you can do your best, and let's see what comes out of it. Okay.
yeah, and you definitely need an old retired guy like me, and I'm actually recruiting my replacement from my office. Um, you know, Single guy, retired, lives to fish and hunt. Like, I'm like, dude, you're the perfect replacement for me because you have time, right? I have adult children, you know, my schedule's pretty much my own except for the weekends when I have my grandkids. Um, so I'm going to presume nobody knows about the veteran skills camps. So currently, the Armed Forces Initiative runs fly fishing camp, turkey camp, and a mule deer camp in Montana. And they invite um, veterans of whatever experience to come to these camps. They are about 8 people. Basically, the way it works is, so I'm going out to mule deer camp in November, kind of as a train the trainer. So I have to pay my own way out. I have to buy my license. They provide the tent, a mentor, a one-on-one mentor, and a wall tent basically for everyone to, and they do all the cooking and everything. So it's pretty cool. And basically, you spend the day doing tactile hunting stuff, and at night, what you do is you stand around the campfire, and they give you public lands one-on-one classes and teach you how to speak about it and to be a public land advocate. So they wanted North Carolina to be the first state that they export that to, because we're the golden child right now, and we're the test bed for everything AFI related. So in 2022, we're going to run a fly fishing. And when I say we, this is a state led, this will be the AFI coordinator's job. It will not be a club responsibility to do this at all. So we're going to run a fly fishing trout camp. So camp for 4 days up in the mountains. Everyone will have their own fly fishing mentor, and then we'll do the one public land stuff at night around the campfire. I already have outfitters that I'm close with, and some nationally known guys that are going to be the guides and mentors. So that should be a good time. I've got turkey camp currently on the table for, don't quote me exactly, I want to say March 7th of 2022. It's the day before, it's the last day of youth season, and it'll be in Croatan National Forest. Same deal, 4 days in the woods, or the swamps in that case, chasing turkey. We're going to do a whitetail camp. Haven't nailed down the location, but it's maybe the mountains is what we're looking at right now. It will likely be black powder because for a lot of different reasons. And then I don't think we'll do a bear in 2022. We might. I'm working on it. But in 2023, what we'll do is we'll do a fly fishing trout. We'll do a fly fishing bass. We'll do a turkey. We'll do 2 turkeys. One of them may be archery, or they both may be shotgun. We will do a whitetail black powder and a whitetail archery camp. And we'll do a bear camp for sure. So those are all funded by the national headquarters and the state, essentially. They don't actually cost a lot to run. The money's in food and supplies. And I've already started reaching out to vendors. I got a contact at Grizzly through another guy. You know, we're hoping that they can give us their big, like, they got some 400 quart coolers. Or even if they give us 150s, if we can get 4 or 5 of those, we'll be set for the next 5 years to do that kind of stuff. So just things like that. That is it. So we got plenty of time for Q&A, comments. We'll just go around, you know, around the horn if you've got something to bring up or a question.
Don't be humble. If you're interested in a position, go ahead and say it. Don't wait to be nominated.
I was going to ask for a rundown of what the positions are again. One more time.
So we have an at-large position that's open. It doesn't have a duty description. Basically, the at-large guy is, you're here to vote. You're here to represent the membership, right? There's no responsibilities except to show up to the meetings. You know, and then the vice president is basically you fill in for the president when he's not there. So Tom was just the vice president. You're just sharing the wealth and picking up the slack for everybody else when they need to, you know?
Yeah. So in case in point, like when we had events and Andy couldn't be there to kind of not honcho, but be the face, so to speak, represent us, then I would go and I would, you know, talk about public land and BHA and stuff. So we kind of just share that kind of thing.
There's really not a lot of day-to-day stuff. All the day-to-day stuff the secretary handles, basically. I mean, there's not a day that goes by that I don't talk to someone at AFI headquarters or someone else on the board or someone at the state level. And part of that is just because we're still in that growing period. So the vice president and the at-large position are open. And we can actually do whatever we want in terms of positions as well. So if we don't want it too large, but you know, Tom has discussed before, like we need people to be in charge of committees and projects and stuff like that. But if you're interested,
I'm an instructor now, man. I've got a much more regular schedule than when I was on a detachment. So, I mean, if somebody else isn't chomping at the bit, I'll jump on the vice president grenade.
Okay.
Yeah, and I was going to kind of go with the same thing, although I'm student status and certainly have things coming up in the next year and a half, 2 years. It's basically I'm either doing something or I'm doing nothing. So either position, you know, Marty, I'm happy to get involved in wherever you guys need me.
Yeah, I'm same with those two, Marty. Whatever you guys need, whatever you want. And I'm going to be at Fort Bragg for quite some time. Matter of fact, I tried to move to Idaho last year, and the wife said, "Hell no, you're stuck here." So I'm here for the foreseeable future. And while my schedule is not as flexible as some, my deployment cycle is pretty set. I wouldn't say set in stone, but I have at least 3 to 4 months in advance before I'm heading out, unless I'm on our recall and we're blown out for some reason.
Yeah. And hey, it sounds to me like a schedule like that, and just kind of think about it, like we don't have to make any decisions or anything tonight. But I think one of the biggest things, like Marty was saying, that we need is people to run events or people to honcho, stuff like that. Because there isn't a ton of day to day, but we don't just want to put everything on the board members. You know, we want board members to kind of be up and out, and then have our action officers, so to speak, kind of handling the down and in for different events. So if you've got an event that you're excited about, come up on the net and say like, hey, I want to run that bad boy. So that's another thought too.
Yeah, I think that's perfect. So we have to have another board member present. We've already talked about Hunter coming on as a board already. So I think, so we appreciate everyone's nod. It'll probably be, I'm gonna put $1 on the table and say, I bet we find a role for all 3 of you this week. So, because I think that, we got to decide this as a board, because we do have bylaws and stuff like that, but we wrote our own, so we can do what we want essentially. I think today's a good example, right? So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 positions that are voting, and we have 2 guys present. So maybe we need to expand our at-large positions so that we have more voting. So that's something we can talk about as a board and make a decision on. Anything else?
Yeah, hey, Marty, I had a quick question for you. You said the 8K that's basically coming into, where does the most of that funding come from?
So that comes from events. So the turkey workshop we just held, even though it was free, we made money on merchandise, not a lot, but we made some money on merchandise. But because we solicited sponsorship, we got a check for $500 from Cabela's. But things like our big ticket money items are the trap shooting events. So the July 17th event, that thing should bring in $2,000 to $3,000, right? Because it's priced right, and we can take a bunch of people. Like 50's easy. We can do more than 50 shooters at that event. The long pole in the tent, as everybody knows right now, is ammunition, because the Clay Center doesn't have any ammunition. So the state's been buying it for us as we can get it. Last year, when we ran the first one, I loaded 1,200 rounds of 12 and 20 gauge myself. We got away with that. Since then, they've let us know that they don't like reloads being shot through the rental guns there, which is completely understandable. So if we don't have to rely on rental guns, we're good. I'll take 3 or 4 guys over at my house and show them how to reload, and we'll start cranking them out. But we've been buying them, so there's those costs, and it's really cheap to shoot there.
Yeah,
So just
one other
those
thing,
kinds of
Marty,
things.
I think you had mentioned it about like your trailer and stuff, but
Yeah.
if we start handing out guns, then who's liable
Right.
for malfunction stuff?
Yep.
So.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah. We did that last time. Everyone signs a waiver. It's all good, but anyway, we don't want to put that on. Nobody wants, another extra 1,000 rounds put through one of their weapons, regardless. So the rental guns are there. So that's the way we do it. And for some of those events, the Wildlife Resource Commission, the R3 department, the Retention, Recruiting, and Reactivation department, loves us. Like, they love us. We got briefed to the incoming, the guy that just took over the WRC, they briefed him on us. Because we, as a program, not just Fort Bragg, but Lejeune, we put 20, 60, 80, we put 100 new hunters in the field. I mean, the AFI program in North Carolina was responsible for 100 new licenses directly. And that's a big deal for them. So they have they bring weapons they have crossbows, shotguns, and rifles. So if it's a shooting event, we can get those from them because they have a shooting sports program as well. So I've been working with them to kind of branch out their support to us. They have a Becoming an Outdoors Woman program. Like, they should be supporting our Women in the Woods event, because they're going to get new shooters and hunters out of that. So as a long answer to your question, Hunter, but basically the events, pint night, right? If we have 30 people show at a pint night and the brewery gives us $1 a beer that we buy, and everybody buys 3 beers, that's $120 in 4 hours that we made that didn't cost us anything as an organization. So that stuff piles up. You know, we get Veterans Guardians has given us money. Some other places have given us stuff. If you know anybody that wants to donate a trailer, because I'm running out of room to store the loaner closet stuff, you know, we really need a trailer, to be honest, to do stuff. But
Marty, on the trailer note, have you guys talked to Bragg about getting one of the old trailers across from the JSOC compound over the old 2nd Brigade area? I know they let the Boy Scouts store all their shit in there.
So
meetings in
Andy
there.
sent me a picture today. They even have a BSA sign up over there at the so he was gonna
Are you looking
check it out and figure out what the deal is.
Are you looking for a trailer for transportation or just a storage location?
Both.
Okay, but it would need to be an actual trailer to be able to move it
Yeah,
around.
enclosed trailer. Like, we have so much stuff. So merchandise alone, like, we have all the state's merchandise right now because we're the ones running all the events. So my truck to go to the turkey event, my front seat was low, like there was no space in that sucker, right? Because it's all I'm storing it all, because it makes sense for me to store it all right now. But in the long run, we need a trailer. Whoever gives it to us wraps it with their logo on one side, puts a big BHA thing on the other side, and then the state will pay the taxes and insurance and all that on it, and renew all that stuff. So that's just, you know, again, this is a brand new, we're a year old. We're not even a year old at this point. So there's a lot to do, but we also don't need to be in a rush, as I was reminded today. So because I tend to lean forward pretty far a lot of times. So, and apparently I like to hear myself talk. Yeah, anything else anybody wants to BS about? Pint night tomorrow night?
Pint night tomorrow night, 5 o'clock in Bright Lights in Fayetteville.
That's right.
Be there, be square.
If there's gas in Moore County, I'm going to go. If there's not, I'm not going.
Fort Bragg is still rationing gas. They haven't run out yet. And I imagine the pipeline coming back on. They got an overnight shipment last night. So I imagine they'll probably still keep getting refueled throughout the night. But I was going to ask if we're doing anything to like get guys out of the barracks. Like if we reached out to the boss coordinators at all, anybody?
Yeah. So that's a great thing to talk about. So we are an approved non-federal entity on Fort Bragg, and we are required to submit our minutes and our financial audit every quarter to MWR. What that allows us to do is run events and raise money on Fort Bragg. So to run an event, I have to send in they have a standardized worksheet, says this is what the event is, this is why you should let us run it. We're raising money at this event, we're not raising money at this event, and here's our COVID mitigation plan, right? They approve it and send it back to us, and then we run it. You would think that MWR would then advertise that event. No, they will if we pay them, right? Technically, I can't go over to Clay or Bank Hall and put up flyers because technically it's advertising and I have to get permission to do that. So the way we have communicated is I email every CSM on Fort Bragg, essentially. Not maybe directly, but you know, I hit all the USASOC CSMs and they email it down, right? I hit the 82nd CSM. He's actually given me his boss coordinator's direct contact, so I send it to the boss coordinator. I send it directly to the Garrison CSM and the core CSM, and then they share it. And that's worked for us. It's not necessarily optimal, but I think, you know, right now it's working. And again, we're 11 months in. I think the biggest thing that me personally, I've learned, COVID's made a big impact, right? When we did our pint night in Aberdeen in April, I met guys in person that I've only interacted with on Instagram, right? And there was guys I hadn't interacted with on Instagram that were following us though on Instagram and showed up, and we got to meet them for the first time. So I think as COVID lifts and we can get together more and more in person, it helps. And that's why it was so important for us to get pint nights in a circle around Fort Bragg, because it gives us an opportunity to socialize and talk about stuff and spread the word. Matter of fact, I talked to the Iron Mike Conference Center today, and we were talking about rental fees there in case we want to do something in their conference center. And at the end of it, and I said, you know what? I never even told you what we are, what we do. So I told her, and I was like, and by the way, because she was a woman, I was like, we're running this Women in the Woods trap shooting thing. And she got so excited. She was like, oh, send me a link. This is right up my alley. I'm kind of a prepper. And I'm like, another member bought right there, right? When I'm at work, all of our editors, well, not anymore, but 90% of our editors in .D are women. So I'm like, hey, did you know, we're doing these kinds of things and just spreading the word where I can. So social media wise, Instagram has been our biggest impact, to the point where we shut down the Facebook group that we had because there's just too many groups, and we put everything on the North Carolina BHA page now. Now we should also still continue to push it to the Fort Bragg Hunting Club page. But most of the stuff we're doing is for BHA members, and they're probably already on the NCBHA page for the most part. So also, if you want to hand out business cards, I bought a 500 business cards for the club, and I probably handed out 200 already. So if I'm at pint night tomorrow, I will bring a stack and give out for other people to give out and stuff.
Hey, Marty, at the GSO event that I attended last year, you guys had these like massive BHA like flyer things, right? Can you guys kick those out at some of the pint nights?
Yeah, for sure.
So I
So
think
so those are part of the tabling kits. The state owns them. They want to buy complete sets for each club. But right now they're in my shed. So yeah, if I come out Friday, or if someone's, what we'll start doing is, that's a great idea. We'll make sure that they get out to the pint night, because that certainly helps.
I think it's a good way to start conversation, because
It is.
the one in Aberdeen, we got a lot of weird looks. You
Yeah.
got guys in similar hats with,
Yeah.
half Clemson, half bear paws on them, and
Yeah.
I think having that out there would have
Nope,
at
that's
least generated
awesome.
a conversation with some people. And then I don't know if it's Michael or Mike or Mikey or what you prefer.
Any
but-
of the above, man.
all right. So for your pint night in Harnett County, do you know when it's going to be and where it's going to be?
I've got them all written down, at least tentative. But Harnett County, I don't have a location with yet.
I can give you the
Hope and
dates.
Cumberland.
What's that?
I can give you the dates. Hang on.
Okay. So
So-
for location, if you need help with that, there's a pretty good brewery up the road from us in Sanford, called Camelback Brewing. And if you don't mind me jumping in your Kool-Aid, I can make some phone calls for you and try to coordinate that if you want.
I will never complain about you wanting to do some work for me.
Okay.
So Hunter, here's what we look for, right? We're looking for, tell them we're bringing about 35 people. We don't need to reserve tables. We just want to give them a heads up that we're coming. That's July 17th. After the, that is July 17th, the night of the Bragg and Blast. So a Saturday. We like $1 per pint, but having frank conversations with the manager of the brewery, one of the breweries out here, they were paying their employees when they were shut down. They're still recuperating, right? The emphasis on establishing a long-term relationship with one location in that county that treats us right. So if they can kick $1 a pint, great. If they can't, that's what you tell them. Hey, we're just looking for a long-term relationship, and we hope that if we continue to bring in large amounts of business, that you'll be able to help us out down the road. And they will.
Hey Hunter, I just put my phone number in the chat if you wouldn't mind just texting me if you do go and make that coordination so I can keep it all organized for Marty.
Yeah, no issue. I'll it's a little late tonight, but tomorrow over this week, and then the July date is perfect. I'm gonna actually be in Montana for most of June, and then when we come back early July, so that's absolutely perfect.
Wow.
So yeah, I'll start making some phone calls. I'll shoot you a text here in a minute.
Appreciate it.
And I sent Mike a BHA puts out a how-to. It may or may not be helpful, but you can share that with them too.
Yeah, I'll forward it to you once we make contact.
Let's see. Yeah, subject to any other discussion.
I got something real quick.
Shoot.
So the lending clause that you were talking about having tree stands and stuff, do we have anything to like train the soldiers that are trying to use these tree stands? Any sort of plan for that?
Well,
like using a climber is kind of difficult, but once you know how to do it, like I can do it very proficiently. Stuff like that.
Yeah, so we don't have any climbers at this point, just lock-ons. But my intent is I'm gonna go out with them and watch them and help them put it out the first time before I hand it out. And then whoever's as long as it's the secretary keeping them, keeping up with the straps and everything and making sure they're in good working order and making sure that they have a tether and a harness and all that stuff. I have several harnesses too to go with them. So a couple of them are brand new.
Okay.
But it doesn't also have to be a new hunter. Like it would be a pity if, they just sat in there during deer season and, you had some property, you wanted to put a second stand up, a ladder stand or whatever up, just holler.
Yeah, and they definitely coincide with the events that we run too. The whitetail event's going to pique interest, and then that's where we say, hey, and we have this lending closet where we have these blah blah blah. So we definitely do educate and whatnot with that. So.
Yes. So at the whitetail GSO in August, we will demonstrate saddle for them, and we will demonstrate some stands for them. Because those are new hunters, and then they will know, they're going to get mentored scouting and hunting out of that from us. So even if you're not involved with the clinic directly, if you want to be a mentor, that's where it's all about. I mean, Hunter's the perfect guy to, he's the poster child right now. He went to his first GSO, our first GSO last year, and he's going to be on our board a year later.
What happened is I went to GSO and they handed me crack cocaine, and now I'm addicted to it.
Yeah,
they're the only place I can get it.
Yeah. I mean, he's just like, I want to give back, and it's just awesome to see that. So,
which GSO did you go to, Hunter? Not to keep everybody.
I went to the last year's whitetail getting started outdoors at McKellar's Lodge. And like Marty said, man, it was phenomenal. I got involved with BHA because I enjoy fishing. I wanted to find some like backcountry areas to just hike in and fish with the kids with this whole COVID thing. And I just came home from an extended deployment and was just tired of humans in general.
Yeah.
So I hit up Andy and was like, hey, how can I help out? And I was honestly just fishing for fishing spots. And they said, hey, we got this whitetail camp. And man, I learned everything from tree stand safety to, how to scout, how to hunt, how to blood trail, how to gut, how to butcher. And then I said, it was Marty that was there when I shot my first deer. It was my first text message was, "Hey, I just killed one. Now what?" You know what I mean? Like over the phone in between office calls, like helping me gut this thing and make sure I was good, and offered to help me butcher it. It was like, and I'm talking like this is the week before Thanksgiving. And Marty's like, "Well, hang it at Fort Bragg. You know, I'll be out of town, but as soon as I get like just the mentorship and the camaraderie, and then, you know, being a old retiree fat dude at this point, like having that like camaraderie again. And then honestly having something missing in my life and not really knowing what it was until I showed up there. And now I fly fish. I walked 24 miles looking for turkey 2 weeks ago. Didn't find any. They're not at Sharon Harris. I promise you, I have looked everywhere. There's no fish in Sharon Harris either. We tried that. No, I mean, like I'm hooked. I can't say this too loud because the kids will hear, but we just bought or put a deposit down on an English setter so we can get an upland dog. And like, the whole family is just, when I say we're hooked, we're done, dude. Like hook, line, sinker, we're done.
And Marty, make sure you take this recording back and send it to like the national chapter for a commercial or something. That was awesome.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm going to take the opportunity to talk about the GSO program real quick. Again, that's a state-run getting started outdoors program. They'll do anything we want. Like if we want to do squirrel, they'll do squirrel. Like they're all about it. It has to be free. But Deep James, who is our guy there, is like, you have got to charge for the mentorship. So the way we're doing these now is we're not running them as the same event. We're requiring you to be we're not actually requiring you to be a BHA. I can't remember what we decided. I think we did. You got to be a BHA member, and then we will take you out the very next day and take you out scouting. And then we'll take you out hunting. I mean, I hunted more with new hunters last year than I hunted by myself. And it was great. And it was only my second year hunting. So it was really cool. Shoot, what else? Hit me up.
Real quick, Tom. Is he still here?
Yeah, shoot.
Are you a warrant officer?
No,
By
I'm
chance?
not.
Okay. You look familiar, so.
Oh, okay.
For the July 17th trap shooting, I can try to get more people there. Is that a problem?
Nope.
When I get back to my unit, I'm gonna do some heavy recruiting to get new people out here. So I feel like my unit specifically, being in aviation, we've got a lot of like I'm not gonna say behavioral health issues, but it's hard. The unit's hard on people. So I feel like those activities and maybe getting people involved in hunting might help with that. So
yeah, for sure. I mean, if we cap out registration at the national website, because that's where, you know, you pay your $50 and do that. If we cap out at 50, it's just a matter of me making sure we have enough ammo for more people. We have the room, right? And the way the events run is it's scaled, right? So we pay per person for the number of birds they shoot, and it's a set price. So, and the Clay Center really takes care of us. Like they give us a big break. Yeah, I mean, if it turns out we have 100 people, great. Even if it's just 25 people that come out to watch and hang out and BS, you know, that's cool too. So.
Yeah, and with the pack out stuff, that's kind of near and dear to my heart as well. So I'll try to get some people involved with the ones already scheduled, and then I know some spots that need to be tuned up as well on Fort Bragg. So
yeah, there's a lot.
It doesn't stop. It just perpetually gets worse. So
I've been thinking about how we can pitch that to the garrison commander as a security problem.
If you want to find concertina wire on Fort Bragg, just run a bird dog for quail.
Yeah.
They'll find all the old overgrown concertina wire for you.
Yeah, it's the washing machines and the bathtubs and the toilet. I mean, we went out to the game. My 4-year-old grandson and I went out to Sand Hills Game Lands to the locations the biologists had given us. And then we started finding more. I found a place where some repair shop was dumping bumpers. There was probably bumpers from 40 different vehicles there. And this is another great commercial. So I pull out my camera, I start videotaping. I go, Isaac, are we going to be able to get all this stuff in the truck? And he said, I think so. And I said, who dumped all this stuff out here? And he says, 4-year-old, some dummy. And I was like, yeah, some dummy. Like, you know.
Were they steel bumpers?
No, all plastic.
Oh, say start loading up the trucks full of scrap, and scrap metal's going crazy right now. So it's putting it back in the fund. So maybe we can do something with the pack outs as far as trying to sort and get a load of actual scrap metal, because that definitely is a moneymaker. I have a big ass truck, so
cool. Well, if there's nothing else, I like to close on time just because everybody else does have kids. So, and you know, next year's my 30th wedding anniversary, or next month is my 30th wedding anniversary. And like I always tell people, make those deposits in the wife's emotional bank account, because you're going to have to make unscheduled withdrawals and you don't want to go over your balance there. So
yeah, from October to January.
Yeah, the rut widow. All right, guys, thanks. We're stoked you guys all joined in tonight. I can't tell you how happy Tom and I are. Like, it's really exciting. Like I told Andy today, the best idea I've ever had in my life was to say, hey, let's just open this up to everybody to come in and see. So
Yeah, no, that was awesome. Thank you guys so much. Like Marty said, I know everybody's time is really precious. So thank you for jumping on. And once we kind of figure out how to do the board stuff, we'll get you guys involved ASAP.
Yep. June 3rd, 8 o'clock is our next meeting. Peace.
5 o'clock, bright lights.
Yep.
Thanks,
Friday.
Marty. Appreciate it, guys.
See ya.